Welcome to Deeper Than a Disorder, where we take you into the lives of real people living with real disorders because every diagnosis has a face and a story. We're your hosts, Dr. Ashley Wiley-Johnson
and Dr. George Castle.
Yeah.
It was the one thing that, could keep my mind off of thinking about autism was that I just love cars.
What about the babies?
If it's meant to happen, then it will be.
I thought that football was going to be a way out.
You can't be completely consumed in it. Let's embark on this enlightening journey together as we go
Deeper than a disorder.
Deeper than a disorder. And remember to follow us, like us, subscribe to our channel, and listen to us wherever you get your podcast. The disorder that we're going to go into and we're discussing today is hearing loss. So according to the American Speech and Language Hearing Association, shout out to Asha and Vicki Deal-Williams and all the amazing leaders that are there doing such great things. So ASHA is the American Speech and Hearing Language Association. They say that hearing loss refers to a partial or total inability to hear, or hearing thresholds outside the range of typical hearing. This can be due to problems in the outer, inner, or middle ear, or even the auditory nerve. ASHA identifies several types of hearing loss, including conductive, sensory neural, and mixed, each with different causes and potential treatments. According to the National Institutes of Health, approximately 1 in 8 adults have bilateral hearing loss, meaning in both ears. But today, we're going to go deeper than that disorder. So please welcome Ashley-Heilprin. Hi, Ash.
Hello,
Hey.
Ashley.
Yes.
So we're good. We're good, and I'm happy to meet you. I've heard a lot about you, and from what I've learned, you're a boss.
Yeah, she's my bossiest friend. She's up here doing the good work.
She's and she's really accomplishing a lot. I want our viewers to know. And I wanted to ask you, how has it even affected? How has hearing loss played a role in your journey? What has been your experience with hearing loss?
So my hearing loss was discovered about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it's kind of, I don't know like how long I was experiencing it before that,
Okay.
but which sounds kind of weird to say, but for me, I only have it in one ear. I have pretty much permanent hearing loss in my right ear that is very close to total hearing loss. And I like I said, I don't know how long it had been going on before that, but so I live in New Orleans.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, one of my childhood best friends was visiting for Essence, and we are out and out and about like at Essence stuff, and she's saying like, Ashley, I think you can't hear me. Like I'm calling your name and you're not responding. And when she first said that to me, I was kind of defensive and I was like, oh, no, girl, like we're at the concert. It's loud. We're in the
Right.
convention center. There's all these people. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then the next day we were sitting on the couch and she was sitting to the right of me. And I was like, man, okay, if I'm honest, I need to like turn down the TV a little bit to like hear what she's saying. And I thought like, okay, that's kind of weird. Also at the time I was pregnant. So let me also just say wasn't working out like I used to be. So it's not like I was wearing, AirPods regularly at the time. And so, and then like when I use my phone, most of the time I'm like in the car, there's Bluetooth, I'm in the office, my
Mm.
door's closed on speaker. So I just,
Always had a lot of supports.
yeah, like
Mm.
didn't really notice. So then just so happened like the next day after that, I had my um headphones like fall out of my purse, and I had been maybe like on FaceTime or something, and the when the case pops open,
Mhm.
um it like transfers from your phone to your headphones.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so I picked them up, and I just happened to like pop one in my ear, and I couldn't hear at all out of that headphone. And I thought maybe like water,
Wow.
maybe I had like a
Mm.
bottle of water in my purse, so, like
Yeah.
fell on it. And then it's like, okay, this is kind of weird. But then I put it in the other ear, and I was like, oh, I can hear. There's nothing
Mm.
wrong with um this headphone. Like I can't hear out of this ear.
Mm.
But
Wow.
okay, so the next day, I go to work, and like I said, most of the time when I'm in my office on the phone, I close my door and I just talk on speaker so I can like type while I'm, you know, doing whatever. Happen to pick up the phone, I put it on my right shoulder, and I like couldn't hear at all. Put it on the left side, and then I could hear. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, time to go to the doctor. I have a toddler. Surely this is just like an ear infection. They're little germ magnets. Um, so I go, and they're like, nope, you don't have an ear infection. We'll like send you to the ENT. Eventually, I get all the testing and everything. And this is like over the course of a month or so of going to different specialists. And ultimately, was diagnosed with a tumor that is in my like ear canal between my brain,
Wow.
and like in that
On the
little region up
nerve.
in there.
Mhm.
And fortunately for me, I don't have any other neurological impacts, but I
Yes.
have total hearing loss, and it is something that um, like surgery is not going to improve.
Mm.
Hearing aids,
Yes.
cochlear implant, it's over.
There's nothing
Um,
you can do. It's gone
yes.
forever.
Yeah. So in terms of like how has it impacted me since the diagnosis in the last 2 years, I think in the beginning, I definitely was, grieving and feeling like, I'm
Yes.
in my 30s. Like my first thought was, I'm in my 30s. I don't want to wear a hearing aid. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that
you
that that was
know,
my question. Like, what did you do when you got that diagnosis? Like, take me to that moment. Like, take us to that moment of like what were
yeah.
you
So
concerned
it was a
about?
little, scary at first because, um, you know, fortunately it's a non-cancerous tumor,
Mhm.
but I was also pregnant at the time, so that was
Mm.
like an added layer of um concern of just like what, like I'm not supposed to be having any kind of brain cancer or anything right
Yeah.
now. I have
Especially
a
you're having your
2-year-old
babies.
and I'm pregnant.
Right.
This
Yes.
is
Right.
not
Yes.
like I don't believe this is what, God wrote in my story.
Yes.
Right.
So I will say like in the beginning, I definitely had um a lot of grief of just like this is not what I thought
Yeah.
things would be like, but I would say over time I've just learned to adapt, and I'm not, there's nothing to be embarrassed about or anything. I just tell people bluntly like, hey, can I sit on this side? There's absolutely a time I can think about like how has this affected me professionally.
Well,
So,
well, wait. As
oh,
because you're just like going through all the things, and I understand what you're saying about like how you just like haven't missed a beat. I'm sure that that's what happens. It's like we're strong, especially as moms. Like we're resilient. We've got to get things done. Like what mom really has time to be sick or impacted or like because I still have all this stuff I have to do.
Yeah.
So now too. I mean, guess dads too. Like you guys have a little bit like, but for real, moms like we don't get.
I guess
the
dads
break.
do things sometimes. I mean, maybe
Questionable, but okay. So to be fair though, you had a lot that you had to do, and you talked about how you just kind of adjusted and didn't make it anything. And I think about the time, like it's like the person that is experiencing this has to figure out what to do. But then the people that are experiencing this with the person has to also figure out what to do. And I remembered like that moment where like we were at a party and there were people that were talking to you on the right side, right? And that same face that you're making, like when you just laughed it off. So after like the first time, I was like, okay, she can't hear. And I was thinking about you and I was like, well, I don't want to say like, she can't hear on that side. She can't hear you. And so I was worried about that because I wanted to respect you. And I was kind of like, okay, like, how should I do this? Like, and but I also didn't want to be like, go behind your back and be like, by the way, she can't hear, like that doesn't work.
Right.
And so finally, when I said something though, and like felt like Ash, like, and I pointed like, so that you knew.
Like they're trying to talk to you and they're on the right side and you can't hear them.
Yes. And that was the first thing you said was like, by the way, I can't hear. So as you think about that, like, what type of adjustments have you had to make just like in the day to day? Because like conversation's the first thing that obviously it can be the most impacted.
Yeah. So I will say like professionally, I was very worried in the beginning because being a litigator, like my job absolutely requires me to be able to listen closely and process what somebody is saying quickly and then respond. And so I was definitely nervous about that. In terms of like ways that I adapt professionally, most of the time it's like, where do I choose to sit? And when you are in court, usually the person who is the first chair for the trial is the one who sits closest to the podium. So I had a trial last year and one of my more senior colleagues was in court with me some of the days. And instead of him, so sitting closest to the podium would have been sitting to my right. So instead of him sitting to my right, I was like, hey, I got to sit on this side because if you're trying to whisper to me while the witnesses talk, I will not hear you.
Wow. Yeah.
And so
discreet conversations.
yes. And with like that's happened to me in a deposition where I walk in and I'm like, hey, if my witness is sitting here, I have to sit on this side so that I can have, discreet conversation. I serve as the attorney for one of our local school boards. And so I sit on the dais during all the school board meetings. And unfortunately, I sit on the far right of the dais. And so if a school board member is coming up to ask me a question in the meeting, it's natural to come to my right side because there's no one sitting on this side. However, I can't hear on this side. So I have to like turn my whole body. And so, but I mean, I tell people and they know, so it's not, at this point, I would say like the emotional part, over. And I think one of the other challenges that I had was like fear over surgery because the surgery that is recommended is a very invasive surgery. And I was, again, like at the time that I'm going through this diagnosis, I'm pregnant with a 2-year-old. And I'm like, mama cannot be out.
Right.
I cannot have a surgery where, I'm going to be out for 6 months and going through physical therapy all the time to like get all of my neurological functions back because you're removing a tumor from the side of my brain.
So
That
you just opted not to do it.
Yeah. Well, no. So let me just say, like, by the grace of God, the size, like they think that the specific type of tumor that I have was hormonally linked. So it may have been more active during pregnancy. And I still have to like have MRI to check every, year or something, but at least as of my last one, it hadn't really grown much. So there wasn't, eventually I will need surgery, but it's not urgent. So that was another
Yes.
like hurdle to overcome.
Absolutely.
That was like, okay, I need the surgery, but I cannot be out for not with like, littles.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I actually, it's funny, you said your right ear is your affected ear. So I have a hearing loss as well, in my left ear. And mine is what we call a sensory neural hearing loss, which means that it has affected my inner ear and the hair cells in my ear. For those that are thinking about where it is, it's the inner ear. And so, I've experienced hearing loss 2 different times from 2 different occasions, which, is I'll get into at some point. But the first time was from going to a party and standing too close to the speaker for too long. And there was somebody, this was like years ago when I was in graduate school, and there was somebody that was, she was a dancer for a really popular ballet company, and she was, in the party, and it really piqued my interest, so to speak. And I thought that
you lost your hearing over this.
So for those party goers, it's not worth it.
No.
So I didn't want to stop dancing. So, I'm like, all right, the music is pretty loud, but, this will go away. It's always loud after we leave the club. And, your hearing comes back. So I kept on dancing and we were vibing and, so at the end of the night, so this is after like 10, 20, 30 dances, right? So at the end of the night, we exchanged numbers, and I, remember the flip phones?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling my age now, right? So we exchanged numbers, put in my flip phone. I go home and I'm excited to call her and, potentially pursue a relationship. And I lost my phone.
Oh no.
So.
And that was before like the little iCloud backup and all that.
Right. There was no iCloud. Right. There was no, we're going to transfer all your contacts to your device, your computer.
It's done.
It was done. So
you lost it.
I experienced tinnitus, which is a ringing of the ear for, 7 months after that. And yeah, I never got to call her, never got to follow up. So,
you lost your hearing and you lost the girl.
And I lost the girl.
Damn.
Dang.
Yeah. So.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But to be serious, though, I'm sure it changed your life. 7 months.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I had to make a lot of adjustments that Ashley described in terms of, conversation and my positioning and just flat out telling people, hey, listen, I may not be able to hear what you're saying. You might have to repeat that a couple times. I might be really intensely looking at your lips.
Trying to read
Don't
lips.
worry, I'm not trying to kiss you. I'm just really trying to understand.
Wow.
So, I had to tell people,
Okay,
like, listen,
yeah.
I'm really, sometimes it takes me a little longer because, it's difficult.
You're reading.
But mine really only is affected by high frequency sounds.
Oh, high frequency. Wow.
So for those that are high frequencies are your S's, your Z's, the sounds that make
Like
a lot of
shh.
noise, your shh,
Yeah.
all of those. So, fortunately for me, it still enables me to, be in conversation with folks and get most of their message where I can, figure out what they're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Ashley, so talking about your hearing loss, because George, the type that you've described is where it's gone for a certain amount of time, it comes back, or it's impacted by certain things.
So mine actually
Ashley's-
didn't come back. The ringing stayed for 7 months. The hearing is gone.
It never came back.
Never came back. No.
Oh my goodness.
and never came back.
I thought, oh, wow. Well,
So
okay. Well, both of you two have hearing where it's never come back. But
Yeah.
I guess now, like, we're all parents here.
Yeah.
How do you explain to your children? What did you do? I mean, you have a 2-year-old. Do you tell her mommy can't
You're
hear?
loud.
Yeah, or what I know, right? So it's actually a positive thing because it probably masks a little bit of some of the noise. Like you don't get it to the regular level, right? Or what? Like, give us the scoop. Should moms go
with
for
the
hearing
kids,
loss? Is that
kids
what
are
we're saying?
loud. So
Okay.
the kids are loud, and they're not the ones who are like, let me have a like whisper in your ear, like a discreet conversation during something. Like Audrey doesn't whisper. We're working on the inside voice, but that's not.
She's so cute. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they
that
don't know
happened.
yet that you can't hear in one ear.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really talked to her about it. Sometimes I'm sure, like, if you ask my husband, he probably notices more and notices the difference and notices when, like, because of where she is in her language development, like, she speaks clearly, but there's still times that, like, I'm like, what are you saying? That perhaps it affects me in a way that I have to, like, ask her to repeat herself more than maybe him with, 2 fully functioning ears.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, and like catching that development. So
Mhm.
so kind of impacting that. I didn't even think about speech sounds and how those can also be impacted.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you think is positive about the hearing loss? Like, because I feel like we talked a little bit, okay, it masks children in their developmental years when they start to get too loud. You might not be able to hear them as well, but is there anything else that's a positive from coming out of this situation? Anything, even like the concerts or anything that has kind of come out that's the silver lining in all of this?
I used to not like subtitles at all,
Mm.
and Marcus loves them, and now I guess I don't fight him on the subtitles. Sometimes I have to watch them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so in all seriousness, something positive.
That is
Um,
positive though, Ashley. Like now you can enjoy subtitles. You couldn't enjoy it before. It's like those little things that we find in life.
Yeah.
um, I imagine that it makes me, because I'm more conscious of how other people are speaking and like the environment that I'm listening to engage in conversation. I think it probably means that when I'm in a crowded or noisy place, like I am more conscious of that, and then I have more like deep personal conversations. So it is
Yes.
difficult. Like there's, like a famous restaurant in New Orleans that people like to go to for lunch on Fridays, and it's like second line band comes in, and it's incredibly noisy in there, and we'll like have a big table of people, and it is difficult for me to hear, 4 people sitting down from me, like, I can't hear you. But the flip
Yes.
side is that I think about like the last time I went there, like I had this really deep conversation with the person who was sitting next to me and learned so much about them that maybe um if I could engage more with the people who are,
Yeah.
further away in a noisy space, I wouldn't have learned that much about one of my colleagues.
So wow, yeah. So like the focus,
Yeah.
like filtering it out.
Yeah. Well, for me, I can only speak for me. It makes me really focus more intensely.
Mm.
So, sometimes when people, sometimes you have a conversation with people and they're looking over here, they're looking over there, they seem like really distracted, like they're not really paying attention or what you're saying is boring. Well, that's much less likely to happen with me because I'm looking at you because I need to make sure that I am hearing what you're saying. So I'm pointing my head in your direction so that I'm making sure that I'm paying full attention. So if anything, it increases my attention, and I guess it's communicating to the person that I'm speaking to that what they say is important. What they say, I'm focusing on, and I'm not distracted by something else.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's really amazing to see, with both of you two being able to kind of like experience that later on in life. And is there any sort of link genetically to any of these things in terms of like with the tumor? Obviously, it was benign, so thank God there was nothing that you needed to do with that. Is there any risk factors that are associated with hearing loss that might impact your child or anything that you worry about or that you have to be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I worry that like the tumor could grow and impact my, you know, other neurological functions. Like, am I going to have dizziness? Am I going to, the face? I like it how it is. I don't want my
No
face to be
drooping. Yeah, like Bell's
drooping on one
palsy.
side.
Hmm.
Like that. I mean, so
Yeah.
yes,
You want to stay intact. Well,
I
you're
just like the way that I was created.
yeah.
It's held me down for the last 40 years.
Well,
So
that's the reality of like when we're dealing with certain things and the sudden impact, and it's like you never know how you'll be changed or what will change. And I'm just glad that like it's not changed you, and in fact I feel like just more aware, and as a friend, after seeing that moment with you, it just made me remember that like our current situation is not forever. And also, as things change, the personality continues to stay the same. Because to see you like laugh it off and feel like whatever, I can't hear,
I can't hear.
was just like if we were in the club and it's too loud and you're saying you can't hear, but that's the essence that's you. So as a friend, I think I'm like, I felt like I don't need to feel sorry or anything. I need to feel like this is where we are and like embrace this moment. And so then after that, I was like, Ashley can't hear in her ear, so you need to sit on this side. I turned into like a
Yeah.
protective friend and sister. That's amazing to hear. And I think we have just a couple of more questions about your professional life and like problem solving, for example. So have you felt that with the hearing loss, has it given you any sort of different approach when it comes to problem solving in your life? Like now that there is some differences with what you can actually hear, or like you've talked about becoming more aware and like more intent and more focused. So has it spilled over to problem solving?
I don't know so much about problem if it's impacted any problem solving. I think it's just being aware, um, particularly in like places where um, either there's like a lot of background noise or like
Mhm.
wanting to be situated in a place that I'm able to hear as
Yes.
best as possible makes me conscious of um, people have accents or if they speak really
Mm.
low,
Yes.
trying to make sure that like Dr. George said, like I'm looking at them directly so I can pick up every um, little nugget that I can in case like, their tone is low and that sort of thing.
Yes. Well, Ash, I know you're doing amazing things, and we really appreciate you sharing about, your experience with hearing loss. And I feel like I'm taking that, like, you keep going and you're thriving, and it's actually made you even more of an awesome lawyer. So maybe tell the viewers what's next for you or anything that you see for yourself in the future.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it hasn't slowed me down. It's just caused me to like adjust a little bit. But in
Hasn't
terms of
affected
what,
the romantic relationship at all.
It's probably
oh,
better.
It's like,
Let me
it's
put
like,
him on
yeah, I
this
mean, like, don't
side.
whisper in my ear, boo.
what you say?
Right.
Yeah, don't whisper in the right ear.
Yes. So
But
just the sweet nothings have been adjusted. Just the
yeah,
sweet nothings.
but
I
other
feel like
than that,
that's a
other than
helpful
like,
strategy as a wife. If one of my ears was off with my
yes.
husband.
I
it's
mean, sometimes it probably does make me a little more like Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Right.
Sorry.
Sorry.
It's the
So
hearing
sorry.
loss.
bad, I
Oh,
didn't hear you.
golden excuse.
I'm sure there are
Golden
times where you don't want to
Like,
hear him.
You
so.
didn't
Yes,
take the trash
yes.
out.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you
Didn't
say
hear you.
that.
Sorry. Only one of my ears was working. No, I mean, in terms of what's next, like
Yeah.
I think just keep pushing.
Yes.
Hopefully, God willing, I don't have to have surgery in the near future, and
Yes.
it just stays stable. And then professionally, there's a lot of work to do. I mean, 2025 is keeping us busy.
Yeah.
And as someone who practices as a commercial litigator, someone who's practicing in the area of media and First Amendment and education, they keep an assistant busy. So I am happy that at least surgery is not in the near term, and that I have figured out some good ways to manage in the meantime.
Yes. And some skills that strengthened you in the meantime as well.
Yeah, well, we
That's
just keep fighting the
amazing.
good fight, because
Yeah.
there's a lot that we got to do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us. And it has been so great talking to you. We can't wait to see what you continue to do next. And we hope you come on next season and tell us how it's
Yeah.
going, or give us any updates that you have.